corporate incentives and accountability. So it's how should Kansas balance corporate incentives with needs of everyday residents? How should companies be held accountable when promised jobs or economic benefits fail to materialize? And do you support raising the minimum wage in Kansas? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I'll start with that one.
Yeah.
I definitely support raising minimum wage in Kansas.
Yeah.
Minimum wage in Kansas hasn't been raised since 2009, and that's the same time that the federal minimum wage has been raised.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's what you get a lot of times when you say, let's raise the minimum wage. People will ask, well, what's that? How's that going to affect small businesses?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's going to hurt small businesses. What I tell them is, the hope is, if they raise their wages, pay their workers better wages, they'll keep that money locally and spend it at their small businesses. Because what happens when you get paid more money? You spend more money.
Mm-hmm.
I try to spend most of my money locally. I don't like going to Walmart.
Yeah.
I don't like giving my money to corporate Walmart. Try to go to Price Chopper there in Lewisburg and buy my groceries.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a necessary evil going to Walmart,
Because we have
especially
like
if
the
you're in really rural
too,
areas.
like diapers and wipes and
So,
you know, it's expensive anywhere else. But yeah, we try to buy stuff from the smaller grocery stores and markets.
First couple of questions you asked about corporate
Incentives. And then holding them accountable.
I think we give corporations too many incentives. I know we do it to get them there,
Mm-hmm.
but at what cost?
Mm-hmm.
If you're putting more of the burden, if you give them a tax break, you're putting more of the burden on everyday people
Mm-hmm.
to pay those taxes. You know, they come in and promise jobs.
Yeah.
Sometimes, for example, Panasonic plant in DeSoto,
Yeah.
they promised 4,000 jobs.
Yeah.
But then the policy on EV vehicles changed.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of hurt them at no fault of their own.
Yeah.
But as long as the policies don't change, maybe something could be written into those breaks that you give them, that if you don't bring these number of jobs in that you've promised, that your taxes are going to go up.
So let them, because I understand sometimes things change after they make a promise, but then why should the taxpayers be taking that risk?
Correct.
Like we're taking the risk if they're not taking the risk, and that's supposedly what they're doing is why they get to keep all their money, is because they are business owners that take the risk. And so I think that there should be something if they make promises and when they give them tax breaks or whatever, all the way down to like the city council gives them tax breaks, and then the state gives them tax breaks, and the federal government gives them tax breaks. And they're getting tax breaks from everything, and then they don't produce what they say they were going to produce.
Yeah, I understand getting the companies, businesses in there, more jobs for workers.
And they can leave whenever they want,
And
most of the time.
if they come in and pay well, that helps the economy.
Yeah.
But don't put everything on the everyday person.
Yeah.
But
The thing is, like, they come in there and then they do give jobs, but there's nothing that stops them from just leaving and closing down the plant and destroying a whole city of people.
I know that, definitely.
And we've seen corporations do that since back in the coal mining days, so there's got to be some guardrails put on there at some point.
We've had GM stopped making the Malibu. So they lost several workers. They're on layoff because they had to shut down and retool for the electric vehicle that they were building.
Yeah.
They were supposed to build 135 units, and then they took away the electric vehicle incentive.
Yeah.
Like if you bought a new vehicle, you got $8,000 off, or a used one was so much. So GM came out and said, okay, now we're only going to build 35,000 units. So we had a plant that supplied them. They just said, well, when GM comes back up and starts running full time, we're not coming back. So that put 400 workers out of our local laid off. So
Yeah, and they can do that whenever they want if there's no provisions in there. That if you make it expensive for them to pull out of the community too soon.
Yeah.
At least, I'm not saying they got to be trapped there forever, but they should have.
Yeah, they need to have some skin in the game.
Yeah, you want this much money, then you have to keep your promises, whatever's in this contract, and you have to do it for so many years, and we'll give you this much money. And then if they don't do it, they have to pay back the people,
Right.
the citizens, the money. I don't think that's unreasonable.
I don't think it is either.
But what do I know?